Hello and welcome to Rosy Crafted Colours. I'm going to be doing the Would You Rather tag created by the lovely Kirsty Colour and Sketch. I'm very late to this because my channel is so new, but I've enjoyed watching so many of these videos that I really wanted to give it a go. The very talented Lucy Just Adds Colour invited any new YouTubers to take part, so I'm using that as my invite. I'll tag their videos in the description. So while I'm answering these questions, I'm going to be colouring in Fairy Celebrations by Carla Markova. And the page I'm doing is a whip that I've had for a tiny while because I love Carla Markova's work. It's just, I'm quite intimidated by it. So I've never actually finished one until her new book came out, even though I own these books for a little while. But I owned this one and Fairy Miracles. So it's time I finished pages in them. There's no point being intimidated by colouring books. If it goes wrong, it goes wrong, you know? So I'm going to be using, for my little dragons that I've already coloured 2 of, I'm going to be using Prismacolor Premier in Parrot Green, which is PC 1006, and True Green, PC 910, Light Green, PC 920, and White, which is PC 938. So I'm just going to sharpen one of these a little bit. Need of the old sharpener. So my first question is, would you rather colour this in the same colouring book for the rest of your life, or use the same medium for the rest of your life? Now, I love to colour in pencils. I am trying to use other mediums, but really I'm a pencil kind of girl, so it's kind of an easy question for me because I would rather colour in pencils for the rest of my life but have plenty of colouring books to choose from, because there's so many artists out there that make such beautiful adult colouring books. So I would choose that one. Would you rather colour a page of leaves or a wallpaper style page? Now, wallpaper style pages, I've seen people colour them in and they look so beautiful, but they just don't interest me or grab my attention or inspire me to colour. They're too repetitive for me. So we've all coloured in a Joanna Basford book, most colourists, so I think I'd probably choose a page of leaves. You know, I feel like you can go a bit more crazy with the old leaf pictures, more than the wallpapers. I would feel you'd need to repeat the colours all the way through that you've used, but maybe that's me being uncreative. Would you rather colour fur or skin? I'm trying to get to grips with fur. I haven't coloured much fur, but I've coloured a lot more skin, and I'm much more happy with the way I colour skin. I think I colour skin to a good standard. I have a lot to learn. There are some people, especially on Instagram, whose skin is amazing, just incredibly stunning. So I would choose skin for that one. So the next question is, would you rather colour a double page spread in a Kirby Rosanna's book, or would you rather colour a double page spread in a Carla Markova book? I love Carla Markova. I said before, I'm a little bit intimidated by her books. So the most intimidating pages in her books would be her double spreads. I have completed 2 double spreads in Kirby's books, so I think just based on that alone, I would have to say I'd be more likely to colour a double page spread in a Kirby book, because I have actually done that. Would you rather colour grayscale or line art? Up until maybe a few months ago, I hadn't ever coloured any grayscale, and I'd always been like intimidated by it. I was like, what do you do with it? Like, it's, how do you add the colour? I just couldn't get my head around it. And then Colouring Heaven brought out their Gothic Alchemy edition, and it gave me the kick to just give it a go. And my gosh, grayscale is so beautiful. It's you know, it takes a little bit of the guesswork out for you for where you've got to do the shading. I'm not saying it's easy to colour, but I think if you really struggle with where does the shading go, grayscale can really help with that. But I still prefer line art, so my answer for that is definitely going to be line art. Would you rather colour a page by Mystic Art Mirrors or Christine Caron? Now, I don't own any Christine Caron books. I've got the odd couple of pictures of hers in some like Colouring Heaven, like the annual, or I think I've got the Fairy Compendium, and I think that has a Christine Caron page or two in there, but I've never coloured any of her pages. Whereas Mystic Art Mirrors, while I haven't coloured any of her pages, I have gone to the trouble of buying 2 of her books that shamefully I have not even bothered to colouring yet, so I really need to do that. So shame on me for owning so many colouring books that I just haven't coloured in. Terrible. So Mystic Art Mirrors, for me, her artwork is beautiful. It's very reminiscent of tattoos, and I think she is a tattoo artist, isn't she, as well? Very beautiful, whimsical girls. The same as Christine Caron, her art is beautiful too. I just haven't felt the need yet to colour any of her work, but I do really appreciate looking at other people's beautiful colourings in her books and her PDFs. Very beautiful work. Would you rather colour in silence or with background noise? Now, I don't colour in silence. Even now, it's not silence. I'm chattering and waffling away. So, yeah, I don't colour in silence. I tend to colour with either like a YouTube colorist in the background. You know, there's quite a few that I really love. I might listen to colouring chats, or I might listen to just somebody as they colour along, or I might watch a tutorial but not really watch it, just be listening, because I really do love listening to colorists. It's like there's someone else, like a friend in the room sometimes. Or an audiobook. Do you like to listen to the audiobooks? Or maybe even some music, the radio. I'll put a film on, but only if I've watched it before. Otherwise, I get a little bit like stuck on the film and not on the colouring, so no colouring gets done. So no point in putting a film on that I've not watched before, because I'm not going to colour anything. Would you rather colour with a mix of mediums and brands, or stick to one medium and one brand? Now, I am trying to get into using things like, I bought some Inktense. I've used them for the first time. Didn't go very well, but I'm going to persevere. And I've got some Neocolours. So I bought the Neocolours at the same time. My partner bought me the Inktense and I bought the Neocolours. Now, I haven't used them, but I would really like to get into using them. But still, I think I'd just, at the moment, with my skill set the way it is, I'm very much into pencils. I would choose one brand of pencils and one medium. And, you know, it would probably be something like the Prisma Premiers, because they are quite varied in the colours you have. They do lay down really easily in most styles of pages. So yeah, I would probably do one medium and one brand. Would you rather use a white gel pen or a white Posca? I always used gel pens before, never used Poscas really. And then recently I've really got into using the Poscas. I do like them. You are a little bit more limited with making sizes of, you know, your sizes of things you're going to be doing. So gel pens are good in that respect. They are a lot finer. Although I do think Posca do a finer nib. So at the moment I would probably veer towards the Posca, but I do use the white gel pens, especially the Sakura Jerry Roll. I do really like that pen. I've never had problems with it like drying out on the nib, which I have with my Signo. So although a lot of people are using those Arteza ones at the moment, I've seen a couple of videos of people reviewing them and they do look really good, but they've been out of stock. So maybe I might invest in some of those on the back in stock, because I do like Arteza as a brand. Everything I have bought from Arteza has been quite good quality. So yeah, well, good enough quality for a colorist, I would say. So yeah. Would you rather colour in the morning or colour at night? Right now it's the morning, so that would seem like it would be the answer, but I also colour at night. But I would choose the morning over the night because that is the time my daughter is at school and I have the house to myself, so I don't need to do any of like the mum stuff. I think I've got a lead stuff in there. I don't have to do any of the mum stuff, you know. I'm free to do just for me, time for me, quiet, peaceful, no one around. Would you rather colour a page using a YouTube tutorial or colour a page using a tutorial from a book by the like the colorist specialist effects books, like Helen Elliston style books? So I would definitely not know which one to choose because I've recently got some of those books, and yeah, I did follow some tutorials in them. They are brilliant, those books. I've got the other one by Jennifer Zinnemann as well. That one's really good, The Colorist's Secrets. And they are really good, but I think it's easier to follow a YouTube tutorial because someone's doing it right in front of you. It makes it a lot easier. So I would choose probably the YouTube tutorial. You can slow it down, you can rewatch it, you can see someone actually doing it in person. So I would think that would be the easier one for me to choose. I like this purple against this sort of aquarish green I've got going on. I think this is looking quite nice. I'm going to do these, they're like sort of scales, but they look like leaves, don't they? So I'm going to do those in lilac, and I'm going to do their wings in this sort of lilac, and I'm using Violet PC 932, Palmer Violet PC 1008, Lilac PC 956, and for my lightest I'm using Grade Lavender PC 1026, in case anyone is actually interested in my little colour selection I'm using. I thought I'd move on to that because I don't seem to be getting anywhere with the green, and all you're watching me do is colouring a little tiny bit of a dragon, so I thought I'd move on. Would you rather colour food or glass? I would rather colour food. If I've coloured any glass, I've coloured very little, and I'm not sure how to do like a bottle. That's why I bought those books, the colorist specialist ones. I wanted to know some techniques that I don't know. So yeah, I will be giving glass and things a bit more of a go, but I think it's easier for me to get food to look a bit more realistic, you know. Not that I colour realistic at all. Would you rather colour in a Jasmine Beckett Griffith book or in a Jade Summer book? Now, I own all of Jasmine Beckett Griffith's books, and I own a few Jade Summers, and I do love the artwork in the Jade Summers book. You know, I don't really particularly mind the Create Space paper. I can deal with that paper, I don't mind. However, for me, Jasmine Beckett Griffith, her art is just phenomenal, you know, and I do have a couple of her books of just her artwork as well, because I really do love her artwork. It is just so beautiful. I also own like a deck of oracle cards with, like, it's a shapeshifter one. It's got animals in and stuff, and it's just a very beautiful deck to look through. Very inspiring to see all her beautiful artwork together. So as you can tell by the way I gush, definitely Gush. I love Jasmine Beckett Griffiths' big, beautiful eyed girls, so I would rather colour in one of her books. I do like the Jade Summer books though. Would you rather colour a colour by numbers book or a mandala book? With this one, I would say that I don't like either. I don't own a book that is a mandala book, and I don't own a colour by numbers book. But if I had to choose, I would veer towards the mandala book. Now, I don't have anything against mandalas or colour by number books. I've seen people colour them in beautifully. They just don't inspire me to want to colour. You know, it's not for me. But I'm not saying anything about them. Do you know, I don't have any like sort of snobbery towards them or anything like that. They're lovely books in their own right. They're just not for me. So out of the two though, I would say I would have to choose the mandala, because I think that one lends itself more to choosing your own colour palettes and maybe putting a little bit of your own stamp on it, and you know, a little tiny bit more creative, I would say, than the colour by numbers, because I think I would definitely, with the colour by numbers, stick to the colours it's telling me to use. I wouldn't be creative with them, which is a shame, because you know, you can do whatever colours you want just because it says do that colour. You don't have to do that colour. Would you rather use watercolours forever or use alcohol markers together? It's quite a hard one, because a lot of books can't handle watercolour. You know, I wouldn't mind using alcohol markers and losing a page. You know, that wouldn't bother me too much, losing a page in a book. But I probably would veer towards watercolour more. I have a bit more knowledge of watercolour than I do of alcohol markers. Not in colouring books. I used to go to like a watercolour group, so I have a little bit of knowledge of watercolour, just I haven't really used them in my books. So maybe I should try something new. Would you rather colour a Christmas page in June or colour an Easter page in December? Now, I don't think there's many Easter pages out there, to be honest. There probably is, and you know, but I don't think there's as many as Christmas pages. Christmas colouring books, there's so many, aren't there? So I would probably choose the Christmas in June. I've coloured a rabbit page. I think that might count as an Easter page, but I don't think I've ever like coloured a page that was like Easter eggs and things. So, but I think I've coloured a Christmas page. I really only got into colouring in the very end of December last year. So by then I'd gone past the Christmas rush, but I do have some Christmas colouring books, and I will be colouring some Christmas pages. So Christmas in June for me, even though I didn't do it this year, but maybe next year I will. In July, Christmas in July. Would you rather colour on Create Space paper or Tantone paper? I've never used Tantone paper. I haven't tried that. I haven't tried any of those toned papers at all. You know, you get the different coloured ones. You get the grayscale, the grey one, and you get the like tannish one and stuff. So I've never tried, but maybe I should give it a go. But I don't mind Create Space paper as long as I use pencils that I feel are easy on it. Like I don't mind using my Prismas or Artisas on it. Well, you know, you use your markers, don't you? You know, you use what works, you know, what lays down. And I find the pencils that are a little bit more pigmented and a little bit softer lend themselves quite well to Create Space pages. So yeah, Create Space, I would say. I've got quite a lot of Create Space books, and I have coloured in quite a few of them. Okay, so I'm just going to have a little sip of water because my throat's feeling a bit dry. That's better. Would you rather colour with Prismacolor Premier pencils or Artisas? For me, Artisas were my favourite pencils for a long time. Out of all the pencils I owned, they were my best. They were the softest I had, and they laid down really well. My only thing I thought was bad about them was you couldn't buy them open stock. So if you ran out of a pencil, you ran out of a pencil until you were going to buy a new set, which I've bought the 72s, and then recently I've bought myself the 120 set. So, and some of the colours in the 120 set are fabulous, but they're only in the 120 set. And when they run out, I'm not going to buy the 120 set just for one or two pencils. I think I'd probably subsidise them with, you know, the Prismas or something if I need to. So my answer for that would definitely be the Prismas, because you can buy them open stock. They are of a better quality. And once I bought the Prismas, I was quite surprised how different they were from the Artisas, because I felt the Artisas were very soft. But the Prismas are much creamier, aren't they? And much softer. And I do love them. I think they were definitely worth the money for me. They suit my colouring style. I like to layer. I like to try and do blends. So yeah, for me, Prismacolors. Although I do love my Artisas, I'm not being snobby. I really do love my Artisas, and I use them just as much as I use my Prismas. I would say they're my second most used pencil, probably. Maybe I use them more than my Prismas actually. Would you rather colour a background first or the main image? I don't like colouring backgrounds, so it's quite hard for me to want to colour a background, but as you can see here, I'm colouring the main image first, but sometimes I have pushed myself to colour the background first, because once I've finished the picture, I'm like, oh, I want to colour the background. That's not the fun bit for me. The fun bit for me is the image, but it is better to colour it first for me, because then I don't have that at the end where I'm like, oh, I've got to colour the background in. But a lot of the time, I think I don't colour backgrounds in all the time. Sometimes I just don't think pages need it. I don't think they always need a background. So I don't think it's always a cop-out not to colour a background. I prefer some images without the background coloured. So that was my waffle. Just to say, well, I don't really know. I do prefer to colour the image. So I'm going to say the image, even though I probably should say the background. Would you rather use Neocolor 2 or Derwent Inktense? Now, as I explained earlier, I have both. I've used Inktense. I haven't used my Neocolor 2, so I can't really judge them against each other. I was on the struggle bus with my Inktense. It was difficult. Oh gosh, it was hard. I found it hard. But you know what? It was my first time, and it will get easier. But I can't say anything about the Neo colours because I haven't used them yet. So at the moment, I'm going to have to say the Inktense because I haven't used my Neo colours. So I'd rather use the Inktense because at least I've given them a go. Would you rather rip a page out of a book that had gone wrong or persevere and rescue the page? Personally, I don't want to ever rip a page out of a book. I do have some pages that I absolutely hate. There's a page in, is it Joanna Bastard's Enchanted Forest, and it's the title page as well, so it's like the first page you see when you open the book. Oh gosh, I made such a mess of it. It was like I started colouring it years ago before I was properly into adult colouring, where I was like, oh, let's buy a colouring book and have a little go. And then I thought, well, this isn't for me. I don't like this. This isn't fun. And then at the time, it wasn't for me. And then I came back to it in December to finish the page. I really felt like doing something that would take my mind off, some sort of problems I was having that year. And that's when I got hooked. But the page is a mess. It is on my Instagram. You can scroll right back to it, and it is the title page, and it is so messy. But I've kept it in because I think it's important to see my terrible pages along with my pages that I'm proud of, because I want to see my improvements. I want to see, oh my god, was I really that awful at colouring? So I want to be proud of where I've come with my colouring, I want to be proud of the techniques, because in what has been not even a year, my colouring has improved greatly. That sounds really like big-headed, but it's not meant that way. It isn't meant like in a big-headed way. It was meant in a, like, I've come on so much from where I was, and I'm really proud of that. And I want to be able to see the awful pictures too against the good pictures. So that's my long-winded way of saying I would rather keep a page and try and save it if I can, or just save it and use it as a, oh my god, look how bad I coloured that picture back then. Ugh. Okay, would you rather colour in hardback book or a softback book? I don't mind what book I colour in, whether it's hardback or softback. The thing I would say is you generally find the hardback books have the better quality paper, don't they? So I would probably veer towards the hardback just for the paper, but I do like the way the paperback books tend to sit sometimes, but also the paperback books tend to be cheaper and easier to replace than the hardback books. Like if I wanted to replace this book, it's very pricey. Do you know? I'm not going to be replacing this book. Do you know? But if I wanted to, it's very pricey. It's too expensive to be replacing. So the paperbacks have the upper hand a little bit there, with the price point that they can be sold at is a little bit lower. However, hardback books do have the higher quality paper usually, so I would go the hardback books, and also they look really nice on your shelves, don't they? They look really good, so, and they're better to travel with because they don't take bumps as easy. The papers don't get folded and stuff. So yeah, I would choose that. So that was all the questions. And then at the very end, there's an extra question, a bonus question. And who is your favourite colouring book artist? Now, oh, Kirsty, wow, what a question. What a question. That is difficult, isn't it? That is so difficult. So, right. I'm going to think on it and say the person's colouring books I like the most is probably the books I'm most drawn to that cheer me up. So I'm going to say for me, the books that give me the most joy are probably the Denise Collette books, you know, with the Gnomes in the Neighbourhood and the Fairies in Dreamland and the Mermaids in Paradise. Yeah, Paradise. I love them. They're so cheerful. But I also really love Clara Markova's books. I loved them before I had them. I really coveted them. I watched people colouring on them on YouTube. I saw people's beautiful Instagram posts with them on, and I was like, oh, just wish I could get those. And I was really scared of spending so much money on a colouring book, you know, because by the time you've paid for your postage for the UK, it's over £30. So it is a big outcost. But still, I've coloured more pictures in the Denise Collette books. Her books do make me smile. So I am going to say, just barely, the Denise Collette books. Because her books are so cheerful. I mean, I do love a bit of Hannah Lynn as well. But just for the joy of those books, Denise Collette. So that was my would you rathers. I hope I didn't push the book out of the screen when we were doing when I was doing that, because I have a habit of not being careful, don't I? So I hope you enjoyed my would you rathers. I enjoyed telling you what they were. If there's anything you'd like to see possibly going forward on this tiny channel of mine, please feel free to tell me below. Do you agree with my would you rathers? Is there any you really disagree with? Let me know. Tell me. Let's have a chat about it. I love to talk to people on social media, and I usually do chat back. So if you'd like to tell me what you think, please tell me below. Please consider subscribing and liking my video. So thank you very much, and thank you, Kirsty, for the wonderful would you rather, and thank you, Lucy Just Adds Colour, for inviting new baby YouTubers to have a go. So bye.